Hello, and on the gaming table today, we're taking a look at the command board for Strength and Honor. The command board in Strength and Honor is one way that you can use to manage the risk by spending points on this board to get rerolls and other sorts of effects. So what this lets you do is it lets you cover your mistakes during the game. So you can alter the result of some events, or you can get another chance to make a roll that you failed. And you get points as part of the setup. We're not going to go over this, but if you take a look in the rules, you'll be able to find out how you generate these points at the beginning of a battle. So let's take a look at each category. First is the attack category. Any points in here that you spend could be used to re-roll combat dice. So in the prior image, there were 2 points in the attack box. And so what you could do is maybe twice during the game, you could re-roll combat dice if you didn't like the results. You could also use a point there to get a +1 on charge movement dice when you're charging into combat. So if you really want to make sure your warband or your cavalry, for example, get into combat, you might spend that point before you do the movement dice on a charge to make sure that you get there. Now, the defense dice here can be used to re-roll discipline tests. This is probably quite useful because failing discipline tests is a bad thing, generally speaking. So if you get a chance to re-roll those, that's quite good. Also, you could use to roll 1 extra defense dice when you're rolling defense. Normally you only get 1 dice, but if you spend a point here, you could roll a second one. Also, you could alter the result of a pushback to a hold result, although you still do take the setback and you might still have to take a discipline test. But what this might let you do is it might let you maintain your battle line if you're worried about getting flanked or overlapped as part of a pushback result. You might choose to spend that point to maintain your line. Next up is movement. Now, movement lets you re-roll a movement die. If you roll the dice and you don't like what you get, you can try it again, or you could also re-roll a maneuver test for something like an oblique advance or something like that. Also, we mentioned in a prior video that spending a movement point lets you move units as a group. So you spend the point before you roll and you declare which units are going to group together, and then all of those units can move as a group as long as they haven't been previously activated. Next, we've got the strategy dice. Now, the strategy dice here can be used to reallocate command points. So if you find yourself running short in one area, you could spend a strategy point to reallocate the points on your board. You can also cancel a setback in the Homunculus S stage before it's revealed. So you can choose to spend the dice to get rid of 1 setback card. You can also change the order of your deployment. We haven't discussed this, but if you look in the rules, there is a way to spend strategy points to do this as well. You can also re-roll a unit's ruse activation. Again, we haven't discussed ruses, but if you look in the rules, you'll find them there. And finally, one of the most common uses is to cancel a Homunculus Est call. So if your opponent calls you out and calls Homunculus Est, you can spend a strategy point once per battle to say, no, I'm not going to do that, and the play passes on as normal. So it lets you get out of that situation of having to reveal your cards if you think you're in trouble, or if you think you're close to breaking your opponent in the next turn. Last up, we've got the generalship points. Now, generalship points are quite specific. They can only be used on a unit the general is attached to as an attack, defense, or movement command point. So usually a general is attached to one of your units, and while they're with that unit, they can use their generalship points as command points. Also, at any point, you could take a generalship point and convert it into a strategy point. This could be another good use so that you can, for example, cancel a Homunculus Est call, although remember, you can only do that once per game. Okay, so that covers the basics of the command board. I hope that gives you a brief idea of how these things work. But that's all we're going to cover today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.